Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast, powered by the African American Marketing Association. Each week, we'll bring you an insightful conversation from some of the best experts in our industry on how to advance our career. Join the collective of Black marketers across the world, advancing their brand as we work towards creating a collaborative community. Hey, good people. Welcome to the Marketing for the Culture podcast. Today's special guest is a good friend, Dr. Mario McCoy. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm decent, good ma'am. I appreciate you for having me on the platform.
Yeah.
Join the plethora of dope individuals and professionals and thought leaders that have preceded me on marketing for the culture. So I appreciate you, and Compo appreciate you as well.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm excited to have you because you do have a product. You have an e-commerce. So I want to just talk about that. The time of this recording is November 15th. So I know we're heading into that Black Friday holiday sales.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus.
Maybe you can drop some nuggets for the people that have some product-based businesses. But before that, why don't you tell the people who you are, just a little bit background about yourself?
Oh, appreciate you for having me. Greetings and good vibes, everybody that's watching, listening, all that good stuff. I'm Dr. Mario McCoy. Please just call me Mario, the student loan that is real. I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, reside in Houston, Texas, and I am the owner, operator, and founder of NCMPRBL. We are a premium lifestyle accessories company located in Houston, Texas, where we specialize in limited unisex collections made to be a feeling and a look where culture meets confidence.
Oh, I like that. Where culture meets okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you said accessories. Because I was going to say watches. So
you caught that?
Yeah. So I know you from the beginning. So I don't know if you've expanded or what.
You caught that? Boom! You caught that. Let's expound upon that. So, with NCMPRBL, and this is where my marketing background, in general, you know about the inside out, the bottleneck feature, right? When it comes to starting a company, you always have your flagship, and of course, watches was and is the main component. The background, the baby of NCMPRBL, because I started NCMPRBL in 2019, pre-pandemic. There were less than 10 Black-owned watch companies in the United States. So with knowing that and becoming a bit more, I guess you could say, developing more knowledge, research and development, what makes a good watch? Like what makes a long-standing watch? Like what makes a product that's going to stand the test of time as far as, your warranties, you're not being fast fashion, all that good stuff. How can we make ourselves different from our quote unquote competitors in that aspect? That was important to me. But having that business plan of expanding, because you don't want to be known for just one thing, because people will move on very quickly, especially in the e-commerce space. That was very important for NCMPRBL. So when we first started, as you know, in the marketing space, your mission, your vision, your product, what you aim to provide value to, I hate using the term customers. We love using the term in-crowd community because we want it to happen, like for real inclusive. Okay. Like we want you to feel like that feeling in the look is something special. So you're going to feel a lot of me saying in-crowd community. So the watches was just the like I said, the bottleneck approach, but being able to expand, I'm going to give you a gem. In NCMPRBL, we are getting ready to release our eyewear line, because I've worn glasses since yay high. So we're extending into the sustainable aspect of acetate frames. So those be coming out this holiday season. Mentioned, holiday shopping and all of that. So being able to use a lot of what we talk about where culture meets confidence, a lot of what our consumers look for as far as advancing their look, as well as just implementing it into our cultures, is really important for me. So we're slowly into our product.
So I guess, have you always been like a fashion guy? Has that something that's always been important to you?
I've always been a minimalist, and I've always been a fashion person. I grew up in hip hop. I actually started out rapping when I was younger, from age 8 to still dabble into it. So being able to be, I don't want to use the word hip because then I'm gonna sound damn near 40, even though I am damn near 40. But being able to be tapped into the culture as far as what is unapologetically but effortlessly, into what people like to wear, what people are attracted to from a fashion perspective, what people are identifying with as far as retro meets minimalist meets modern, which is why Comfort really centers in on lifestyle, premium, modern accessories. We like to call it PSA, premium, sustainable, advanced. So like those are our three components, and that's what really attracts our target market, and we really go from there.
I'm loving this vocabulary lesson today.
Oh, what's crazy? I've been really trying to focus on dumbing it down. And I know we're going to talk a lot about that. Just in marketing, you really want to have that, to all of our listeners and watchers, that 4th to 5th grade reading level, not because people don't understand it, but because people will skim past it if it's too many syllables, if they feel like that they can't readily identify it. So when I first came out with Incomparable, it was really like, this is a lot of syllables. How can I make this?
Yeah.
How can I break this down? How can I break down the message for people? So that's been really important for me.
Okay. So I know you started with the watches.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're expanding. So how important is market research and then the market research to determine, okay, product 1, product 2, product 3, etc.?
Advancing your look. Like you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and look at your ideal consumer. For us is in our in crowd, like what is it that they like? What is it that best suits them for the long haul as far as creating a premium modern product, but a modern product that's built to last, right? So a watch isn't necessarily an essential thing, but it's essential for completing your look. With eyewear, it's definitely more essential because obviously, with glasses, you have the fashionable look, but you have the option of wearing contacts. But with glasses, it's more so like, okay, this is going to fit my face a certain way. This is going to fit my profile a certain way, left, right, forward. This is going to fit my profile, whether I want to have a medium size, a wide frame, a particular look for whatever it is that I'm wearing for today. If I'm going for a boardroom look, if I'm going for a happy hour look, if I'm going for a city nights look, or just whatever look I want to complete, it's a bit more essential, but you can still play with the fashionable component that goes with it, right? So just knowing those things and the research and development that comes with that is super important from the sustainable aspect. As we expand to being more of a sustainable company, the acetate aspect of it, just the whole plant grown aspect of where these I don't even want to use the term chemicals, but just how everything is made from our glasses aspect, how everything from stainless steel is all sustainable. Just knowing that research is going to make people a bit more brand loyal to you because you care about how everything is all environmentally based. But being a growing business, I don't like to use the term small business, Michelle, because that's how you stay small. I don't like using the term small.
I can dig it.
So being able to know those things just really shows that you do your research and making sure that your target market is like, okay, this ain't just a fad. This ain't just, whatever the case may be. It's a company, what they talking about. I can really, because that identifies with what people identify with outside of fashion. Mm-hmm. Like they just really just deal with, like we talked about off air, going vegan.
Yeah.
A lot of people that go vegan, they really pay attention to things that are sustainable because that's paying attention to the environment. You really care about what goes into your body, so you care about what's around you. Right. So that's going to make you be a bit more cognizant as far as what you wear. Right. So all of those things just really they play a role, but they play a role in still being premium because you still want to have that premium advanced look. So PSA, you're going to hear a lot of that.
Are you still designing at this point?
Our first collection's actually done. Another gem, Clarity Collection. That's the name of the first collection we're going to be releasing.
Nice.
It's going to be November, so it'll be out before the end of the year, and it's going to come out on incomparablylife.com first. So
and you designed that, or?
Yes, we got 6 colorways coming. We got 6 coming. Oh, y'all gonna be spoiled. Y'all gonna be spoiled. Y'all gonna be spoiled. Every time I release a new product, every time the company releases a new product, I hate to say every time the company, I get spooked. Even though we've been in all these dope publications we're gonna talk about, yada, 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 I get spooked. But that scariness is it's an important scariness because you know that it's gonna be something that's gonna advance the globe. So we're excited, but it's like, dang, we about to drop something else. Let's do it. So.
Yeah. So, okay, speaking of all of the work, I guess how many people do you have on your team? Because I know there's a lot of moving pieces.
It's a lot of moving pieces. I do about 18 jobs. But I learned early on, and this is everybody that's watching and listening, your team can't be just you.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the squad is considered structural, I have about 6 brand ambassadors. I have a brand ambassador director. I have a scene creative director, and I have a creative director, and it's myself. So all in all, about 10 people.
That team makes perfect sense just because of the dominance of social media, and we're very visual heavy. So you got to make sure all of your visuals are on point, and some of that other stuff is just as important, but it can wait.
Especially with being an e-commerce company, you have hit the nail right on the head with social media and being able to invite, the in-crowd community, like a behind the scenes type of look, like what makes everything. Like we took the entire year and we were very, very, very upfront about our rebrand. From, I won't necessarily say our former logo, like we use it for specific tier watches that we have, but we have a premium logo that we use that's more so, our forefront logo. And we invited all of our in-crowd to really even go as far as helping us name a watch, even go as far as helping us pick a specific font for a specific logo. Like all of that's really, really important because it gives people an opportunity to feel like they're a part of something, that's bigger, than just, a feeling a look with what we're doing as far as physically. I always like to say, build something that outlasts you.
Yeah.
So being able to have a dope community that's like, dude, I helped them name a watch. Even if we didn't pick that specific name, even if we did do a specific colorway or whatnot, like they really care about what we like to wear. Like they really care about like not just here, buy this. Of course, you have to be in tune, on our side with, what's coming up, what's going to be great as far as what we want our ideal, in-crowd community wear to wear. But all of those things we take into consideration.
So I'm a fan of Shark Tank. I know a lot of people are a fan of Shark Tank, and I feel like I just released my DEI cards, and I feel like that's my first real product. Like I know I've written books, but this is my first product to me. And
congratulations, that deserves a big round of applause on purpose. Yes, ma'am.
So I am struggling between sticking with the U.S. manufacturer and someone in China. So what's your take? What's your insight on that? And I can go into more details about my hiccups right now. But I'm afraid.
Ain't it? It's a beast, ain't it? It's a whole entire beast. It's crazy. And this isn't necessarily for every I don't want to say marketer, but just every company. But in China, things are cheaper, but there's a certain thing called tariff fees. that a lot of companies here in the US don't necessarily know about. And depending on how you get your product delivered, because it's obviously going to be shipping fees, you're going to get hit with those fees either up front or 30 to 45 days later. And they're going to expect that either up front or within the next 30 days. So a lot of US companies, they know that. So their actual product is going to be a bit more expensive because you may or may not have to pay that particular fee. So that design aspect, that can play a point in that. And even with designing, you get, depending on what company you work with or manufacturer you work with in China, they'll work with you as far as designing. They'll work with you as far as making just different, I don't want to say iterations, but pretty much redos of what you need to get done. And building that relationship, no matter if it's US or China, is hella important, because vetting who they've done business with. It's people in China. If you look at the back of your shirt, your pants that you're wearing, the Nikes that you got on, they're going to say made in China, because they have a particular relationship, particular trust with that particular manufacturer or manufacturers that might specialize in particular areas, especially with physical product, because you will get people that will send you whatever, and you will get manufacturers in the US and in China that will close. Like, we have made a high amount of mistakes just growing and just going through that aspect. And a lot of your bigger brands, a lot of your favorite brands, a lot of companies, that we wear on a regular basis, that we do business with on a regular basis, will tell you the same exact thing. Like, build that relationship with said manufacturer, go with what makes you comfortable. A lot of what Incomparable does as far as our vetting process, especially for our folks that we work with overseas, we make sure that they have a certain amount of years in business. We make sure that they have worked with companies that we trust here in the US, and just have a different type of approach as far as not having a language barrier. That's very important, because if you have a language barrier, they'll send you anything. The samples, you have to be able to have that relationship where it's like, okay, well, this isn't the right color, or this isn't the right design feature that we need for this, or this isn't right as far as logistics. Making sure that everything is good as far as shipping. Was this going to be an X amount of days, or do we have what's the word I want to use? Do we have can this be late? How late can this be? Like, just being completely frank. How are your shipping times? Like, all of that definitely plays a role. And forgive me if I'm getting long with it. I want to give you as much value as possible, because you get a lot of manufacturers, and in the US as well, because we definitely have worked with some in the US that will say a particular product is going to come within 7 to 10 business days, and 15 to 20, we looking at you like. So I always like to tell a lot of my clientele that I have, because I have a particular course that I teach called Advanced Entrepreneur, where we definitely we speak to the complete CEO. That's basically what we do. Yeah. We talk a lot about shipping details. And we talk about a lot of areas that have to do with preparing, proper preparation, or performance, right? So we know the 5 Ps, and all this gave you 4, I know the 5 Ps, but all of that definitely plays a role just with the US. And even just, I know I talked a lot about China and overseas, but when the US, building that relationship is hella important as well. Where are they located? How quickly can you ship me my sample? How quickly am I going to get a response from you if something is right or wrong or needs work? How quickly can you ship me something when it's around the holiday season? All of those things definitely play a role. So, man, when I say them physical products, they get you, boy, because you can lose money, and they look at you like, how are you accepting payment? Do you accept PayPal? It is 100% safe and secure checkout. Or am I just sending you Western Union and you just looking at me like, I got, because it's U.S. dollars worth more in China.
Yeah.
So, those are all things that you definitely want to pay attention to, as a startup entrepreneur, as a successful business owner, as a successful and solidified business owner, even if you're just looking to get into a specific field, especially with physical products. So I know that was a lot, but I hope we got some value from it, folks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, because even though I've been getting quotes from China with the shipping costs, no one mentioned anything about the tariff fee.
Because you never know until you hit customs.
I mean, which makes sense, but
so with customs, it's more so how much of the item. Like if you have what's called a MOQ, right? Like even with watches, it can just really depend on how much you order as far as your design, and and that's going to be how much is available. That's after you do, and this is going deep, y'all. So this is like after you allocate any particular amount of watches that you're going to do for giveaways, any particular amount of watches you're going to do for retail and wholesale, any particular, like this is any physical product. It's with DI as well. Any particular amount of items that you're going to allocate for boutiques, or anything that you're going to do, like I said previously, for giveaways, anything of that nature, whatever is left over, and you want to allocate. What if something gets messed up in shipping? So you might say, all right, 1,000 of these are going to be available, but damn, 100 of these UPS or USPS to mess this up in shipping. Now I can't say I got this that's available. And the folks, whether in the US and China, they going to look at you and be like, hey, we sent you 1,000. We sent. So then another key component: how are your warranties? Warranties dictate people buying things from you, especially high ticket items. Warranties definitely dictate them, especially with anything overseas that's going to be pretty much outside of our hands in the US. If you don't have the adult relationship with the adult manufacturer, repair person, or anything like that that's here, I can't stress that enough. For people that sell high ticket items. So high ticket is anything 150 and above, pretty much on our favorite social media platforms where you see these ads and all that stuff. So definitely keep that in mind and budget for it accordingly. Boy, I see you put the head on that head. You get it, boy. You get it.
Oh my God. It's like you're gonna got me crying before the shit even explodes.
It's okay. It's okay, because you work through it. It's all right. You work through it.
But it speaks to your point, because the things I'm struggling with now, it's the profit margin and cash flow. Those things move like at the same time. And so I ordered my first deck of cards in, I think I got them in February or March. So I've been sitting on them for about, I guess, 6 months or whatever. And then I released them in October and then placed another order. And the US company, their price went up. And I was like, I didn't budget for this.
Inflation. It's a fool, ain't it?
I'm looking at the old rate sheet. Like, I'm budgeting based off of the old rate sheet. And then I went to a conference, and it was my fault because I stepped away from my table. But then someone stole a deck of my cards, and I damn near cried, because it's like, it's costing me $50 to $60 to make the cards. And, I had a much smaller inventory. I'm like, and I'm like, I can't even
fight. That's what it is. They want to fight. They want to fight. Don't.
And the person eventually rebuild themselves, but it's one of those things that I feel like, because the cost is so high, I can't afford to give these away. Like, I can't afford to raffle, like all of the things you just suggested, which are like great marketing tactics. I just feel like I can't afford to do that right now, let alone considering it.
I'm so glad you said that. When you first start off your company, you can dictate that. You can dictate whether you want to do a raffle, a giveaway, anything of that nature. Before I even get just to that, and remind me to mention that point, because you mentioned something previously, profit margin. Mm-hmm. Depending on your company, everybody that's watching this, listening, pay attention to where you want to position yourselves, whether it's going to be budget, luxury, wherever the case may be. Typically, you want to be between 80% and whatever percent. Boom. My arm is going up real high, because your Louis V's and whomever else's can get anywhere from 1,000% to 3,000%. If we told you how much a bag costs and they slap the logo on it, and we can pull up the materials and all of that and how much they paid for it, y'all would be pissed to the core. But you're paying for the status symbol. And that's completely okay. That is no knock. That is completely no knock. But that's what you pay for. You know.
Well, I'll also say this though, mm-hmm. and I hate to admit this, but I think as an entrepreneur, mm-hmm. we know this. Mm-hmm. We're also paying for the operations.
That is true. That was going to be the next point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All of that. All of that. You the distribution, the operation, the status symbol, everything from supply chain, even if it's done in-house, vertical integration, you paying for all of that. Shipping, all of it. All of my 10,000 Malcolm Gladwell hours, all of it. all of it, especially as a growing business, because you need to make sure that you build a business and you are not your business. The second point, I forgot it because please, what was it that you mentioned?
Profit margin, cash flow, inventory, giveaway, being able to give away your items.
Yes, the giveaways. If y'all feel like that you don't want to give away your items, raffle, whatnot, because you have a difference in your business plan, do not do it, and do not apologize for it. When Incomparable first started, I was really leery on that. When I would do certain pop-up markets or just different markets, I will always be very strategic about it, because one, I wanted to build dope relationships with people just in different spaces. And you could tell, Michelle, especially just being a part of marketing and doing networking events, there are certain events where people will be like, oh, you can have vendors that can come that will just help to pay the bill of said networking event, and certain vendors might not get it, or certain business owners might not get it. And I will always tell business owners and CEOs, like, dude, like, don't let people just belittle you and just think that you're a vendor. If you are a real life trademarked business, be respected as such, right? So with knowing that and doing giveaways and raffles, and if you really just can't afford that on the back end, if you know that you can sell that item to whomever, online, retail, wholesale, whomever, do that, because that puts the money right back into your company. When you start your company, you're looking at typically the average growing business operates in a red 5 to 7 years before you start to see a boom. So like, you prepare for that sacrifice, right? So if that raffle, if that giveaway is going to help you in the long run, do it. Outstanding. But if you don't think so, if you're not in that space, do not do it. When I first started Incomparable, my watches were, and this is going to go into the good, better, and best model that we follow from Apple. My watches were $70 and $75 on purpose. Now, especially just with the more knowledge that we have obtained as a company, the growth, the GQ, the Vogue, the Forbes mentions, all the magazines, and we are between 109 to 330. So we have a affordable timepiece that's available for anybody. We have we're entering the premium aspect, 179 above, and we're able to really be competitive with our pretty much our competitors, right? As far as like we do a lot more R&D just regarding individuals and companies and entities that have achieved the same, if not more, as far as, you know, placements and covers and yada yada. Like all of that stuff matters, because as a consumer, you're going to look and be like, all right, this $99, but XYZ watches is $179, and you might be cheap. And as you may know, Michelle, Black owned does not mean cheap. We got that stigma.
right.
Like it does not, it just shouldn't mean I get it at a discount. It should mean I get it for cheap. It's like, okay, once I made GQ and Forbes as a company, like once, you know, LA Weekly, New York, I got the look in, and I was like, nah. And it's inflation, like you just mentioned, like, we got to make some changes. So, you know, but your company is your brand loyal people for your company is always going to understand that.
So how did you get the media placements?
Hustle. Consistency creates champions. I tell my cohorts that all the time. A lot of it was great timing. There was a gold rush in 2020 where it was great in e-commerce to start a company. Luckily, in Comparable, we already had some skin in the game for starting a year or two prior. But we were featured on ABC News, Fox News. We had, for our affordable pieces, we had a partnership with Walmart. And you mentioned Shark Tank. We actually had a commercial with Kevin Harrington, the Shark Tank, that aired across the U.S. So having all of those things and just building up the portfolio, building up the resume, that's where you started to see all of the press outlets for Incomparable, you know, that included, you know, the Forbes, NY Weekly, Influencer Magazine, Swagger. I don't want to forget nobody. But just all of that, just that the aspect of that was just building the trust within the growing clientele, because we knew we were new. Yeah. Right. Like we knew we didn't want to be looked at as like a pandemic company or anything like that. And that just goes back to where we just talked about, you know, we knew we were just a watch company, like, but we wanted to expand, you know, that, and that's where all of that regenerated into, you know, growing the company. Right. So that's where those media placements came from. People really identified with our story. Right. Like being able to inspire the masses to don't be regular, being comparable. It was like, oh, shit. I do feel like comparable with my style whenever I get up in the morning. One time, okay. Because it wasn't just, I wasn't going to make a watch and just name it like after me. Yeah. like that's cool for dope people. I mean, our Tommy Hilfigers, our Eddie Bowers, I'm dating myself. All of Kenneth Coles, all of them that make it like, yeah, like that's a dope statement just for, you know, with their dope names that, you know, expound upon different products. But I knew for the audience that I wanted to attract and all of that, just as far as the target market, it's just like Mario McCoy. It's like, oh, he a doctor? Oh, okay, but that ain't gonna make me want to buy it. He a dropout turned doctor. I love his story. It's great. But Incomparable, like once you get past the phonetics, it's like, okay. You can readily identify with it. So, you know, that played a role in the media placement too, because it became attractive. It was a conversational starting piece, right? So that was all strategically placed. Having an attractive brand name that's going to transcend eras, like that was the real, you know, aspect of it. And I just didn't want for people to be like, who do you work for? Mario McCoy? Oh, the whatchamacallit company? Who you work for? Incomparable? Yeah. Oh, shoot. So, you know, that's where that came from.
Have you utilized any influencer marketing?
Yes, and that is something that we're definitely tapping more into because we're having, and I keep saying it, it's more of an idea of who our target audience is. So the influencer marketing is definitely important. But for everybody that's watching this or listening, you want to make sure that your influencers directly reflect your company's culture, values. I mean, effortlessly, like Incomparable, like we're definitely a lifestyle, you know, modern accessory, obviously the premium, sustainable, advanced, all of that. You got to reflect that just already.
Yeah.
From from jump and already just have that relationship where I can be like, can I make sure I can see how you doing? Because mental health is definitely important as you grow your especially influencer marketing. Like, how are you? Like, is there any challenges that you facing in influencer marketing? Like, all of that's important. And obviously you mentioned that in DEI, like that's important. Right. So being able to have those dope conversations and people that just represent themselves as a personal brand, that automatically just marries itself with their comparables. That's really good for us.
Is retail important to you?
It's important to a fault. E-commerce is my baby. Like e-commerce, obviously, as we know, it's taken a definite set precedence for shopping. As far as building a trust and having a premium looking online store, but there's nothing like being able to go into your favorite store and touch your favorite product, right? That builds that trust, right? Like you gonna go in the store and be like, how this shirt feel? Is this for real cashmere? Like you gonna even if you see it online, like is this for okay? Is this the weight of this? Is this really, Because I would constantly get that, especially for watches at trade shows and markets. Like people would they would do the weight test. I'm like, yeah, this is Japan quartz, or yeah, this is Swiss quartz, and they go, so this is for real, yo line. Like this ain't, you don't work with nobody. Like, nah, I have to pull the whole commercial that we would have with Kevin Harrington, like on the iPad, and go, that's me. And it's like, oh, so that's where that retail aspect is really important. We're actually in 2 boutiques here in the Houston area. We're in a Black Market, which is in Pearland Shopping Center, and we're in Wonder Like Wonder, which is Edo area in Houston. So they both have exclusive incomparables, and we love on them both. So people can go there, love on them, touch on them, try them on, advance their race one good time, join in crowd, all that.
So what's the end goal? Would you sell? Acquisition?
Look at
cash in, cash out.
Oh, the goal is to eventually. Oh, I don't want to sell incomparable. I'm not in that space. Okay. But business wise, I know it's smart to do it. So I would eventually get to that space. Incomparable is almost 4 years old. But knowing that especially in e-commerce and retail and just overall just wanting to expand it just to different things, it would really have to look right. Even with cash in, cash out, it would have to look right. I would have to be on the board or something of that nature to be able to still have a hand where culture means confidence. I can't do rock or rare. I can't sell it and then all of a sudden it's completely diluted.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a passion that comes with that. Like we do the jig whenever we see somebody buy something and they see me out in public, or they see one of my creative directors out in public, like, oh, what a comparable, right? Like completely random, Michelle, for your dope podcast. I was out and about and at a station just getting my car and stuff decent. And this guy randomly saw me. He was like, comparable, right on his watch, all of that. I was like, oh, shoot. I didn't have no clue who he was, but I remembered just randomly, and I randomly saw him. And I was like, dog, that's dope, because that makes your day.
Yeah.
So when you sell it, it's just like, you don't have a feeling no more.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to eventually come, but, right now I'm not there yet.
I get it. What else do the people need to know about you, e-commerce?
Myself, I'm a college dropout turned doctor. I'm from the north side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm no better than you. I look just like you. I've been through the same type of struggles that you've been through. Hustling God did it. Hustling God doing it. I firmly believe in doing right by people, doing good business with good people. I firmly believe that consistency creates champions, and that Incomparable is the hub of where culture meets confidence because of the struggles that I've been through. Being able to come from a underserved background to creating a premium leading brand that's been in, like I said, GQ, Vogue, Forbes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is something that I don't take lightly and something that I always thank all my dope in crowd community for. And dope people like Michelle and Marketing for the Culture podcast and providing the dope platform for dope individuals like, ourselves to be able to talk about our dreams and really just give y'all dope value, because this is value that people will definitely pay for. People will definitely aim to look over, because we could say the same things as other people. And, we just hope to be able to give you, just like I said, just some dope value that'll inspire you to don't be regular, be incomparable. It's deeper than the watch, it's deeper than the frames. We just want to be able to, like I said, be again where culture meets confidence.
I love it. And how can people find you?
Incomparable Life everywhere. That's NCMPRBL IFE. That is Facebook. That is Instagram. That is TikTok. That is all of that. That is all of that. All of that. All of that. IncomparableLife.com. NCMPRBL.IFE.com. Become a part of the in crowd. Join the in crowd. Email, text us, all that good stuff. Get connected. Stay connected. Yes, Lord.
I love it. I love it. We'll definitely have all of those links in the show notes. Mario, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
You got one of the first incomparables. We're not going to just leave that out. You got one of the first.
I know, but like one of my biggest things, but I always say this on LinkedIn. I very rarely say it in person, but anytime I connect with someone, I say, I look forward to following your success. And I've had the privilege to follow your success.
So it's the same. Well, what was it? The Houston, the family dinner?
That was 8 years ago.
That had to have been at least 7.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
At least 7. So I have seen and continue to see the growth, and it is great. I appreciate it, because it be some days it be real up and down, y'all. With entrepreneur CEO life, it be one day you feel like you on top of the world, and the next day it's like no. This just no. Be your own biggest cheerleader. If that's one other thing I can tell you, put it on your back, carry the weight. In the words of the late great Nipsey Hussle, boy, be your own biggest cheerleader. So I appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Marketing for the Culture podcast. Thank you for listening to Marketing for the Culture podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And of course, our videos are on YouTube. If you have a moment, feel free to give us a rate, review, or just comment. We appreciate our sponsors for their continuous support. Also, if you're interested in learning more about our sponsors or becoming a member of the African American Marketing Association, visit aa-ma.org.